The very next morning Sebastian, brother of Viola, had arrived in the city. Viola would have felt happier if she had known that her brother was not far away from her. A worthy sea captain, Antonio by name, saved Sebastian from drowning in the sea. Antonio took Sebastian with him on board his ship and had become his close friend. For the next 3 months, Sebastian had sailed with Antonio to different ports on the coast of Illyria. And the happier thing was they have landed not far from the Duke Orsino's palace. Antonio felt sorry for not accompanying Sebastian to visit the city and the palace, as he had wounded the Duke's nephew in a sea fight some time ago. If he went into the city, he would definitely get arrested. Antonio, therefore, told Sebastian to be careful and warned him. He said that he will be waiting in the Elephant Inn and gave a well-filled purse to Sebastian. Antonio was very fond of the boy. Sebastian promised to return in few hours and set off along the road leading to the palace of Duke Orsino. In the meantime, Viola was going to be in great trouble. Toby Belch, a very fat fellow who lived only to eat and drink and be merry, and was the uncle of Olivia and staying with her in her house. With him were his friend Sir Andrew Aguecheek, a foolish, boastful fellow and a great coward. As a joke, Sir Toby had encouraged Sir Andrew in his hopes to win Olivia as his wife. He ought Andrew fight with Cesario and said Olivia openly favored the page. Toby knew that his friend was a great coward and laughed. Andrew then wrote a letter to Cesario, a fierce challenge, and sent it to Viola. Reading letter, she trembled and with fear. Toby told her that Andrew was the bravest and strongest knight that he had ever known to Viola, and said Cesario was a deadly swordsman in the world. This resulted in full was fear for both against each other, as one is coward and others do not know to fight. Sir Toby Belch laughed aloud and long at the success of his jest and was looking forward to the duel. On the day of the duel, they were trembling so much that their swords were shaking in their hands. Viola out of fear was going to cry out, but to her surprise, a stranger rushed between her and Sir Andrew and drawn sword. He shouted to stop and asked Andrew to fight with him instead of the boy. It was Antonio the sea capitan. Worrying that Sebastian had not returned, he risked his life and come to the city to find him. Viola was astonished but was very grateful that a stranger helped him. She was wondering that who he was when Duke's officers arrested him on the Duke's name. "I have to obey," Antonio said to Viola. "They've caught me as I told you they would." "Ah well. Good Sebastian, give me back my purse. I shall need it now." The captain pulled her by her brother's name. Her happiness touched the hill, realizing that her dear brother was alive. A gladness filled Viola's heart. As she had not got the stranger's purse, she gave hers to him and said, "Here, take mine, there is little in it and that is all I have." Seeing the ingratitude of his friend, Antonio was deeply hurt. He to officers, "I saved this boy's life," he said, "I've been his true friend and I followed him here at the risk of my own life, and now he refuses to give me back the purse that L lent him. He even pretends that he doesn't even know me." The officers were not interested and dragged him away. Viola left the spot as she fears that Sir Andrew would return and renew the fight. Soon after Viola left, Sebastian came to that very same place. Sir Andrew saw him and took him for Cesario. Now Cesario had shown himself a coward. Sir Andrew, therefore, felt brave enough to hit him hard on the head. Sebastian, however, was no coward and instantly he returned the blow. Furthermore, he drew his sword and challenged Sir Andrew to a fight. Most unwillingly, Sir Andrew had to draw his sword. The fight had hardly begun when Olivia came running out of her house. She had been told of the fight and had thought that her Cesario was in danger. "Stop," she cried. "Put up your swords." She ordered Sir Andrew to get out of her sight. Turning to Sebastian, she begged him, in a very loving manner, to come into her house with her. Of course, she took Sebastian for Cesario. Sebastian was very surprised at the kindness of this unknown and very lovely lady. He followed her indoors. She kept on speaking to him as if she loved him. "Am I asleep or awake?" Sebastian asked himself. "Is this but a beautiful dream? If it is, I hope that it will last forever." The thought came to him that the lady might be mad, for her behavior towards him was so strange. He noticed, however, that she ruled her household sensibly. She was not mad. All the same, he could not understand how she could love him when she had never set eyes on him before. Olivia called for a priest to marry them. Sebastian was astonished, but he readily agreed. Olivia promised to keep the marriage secret for as long as he wished. Sebastian hardly understood what was happening, but he felt a great liking for the beautiful and gracious lad. For a while, he stayed with her happily. Later, he remembered that Antonio was waiting for him and he went off to look for him. He wanted to tell his friend about his very strange adventure and he needed his advice.